Welcome back. Now, it's no news that Scotland is in the middle of an obesity crisis, with over 1 million adults and 150,000 children here classed as severely overweight. As these kids grow up, experts say the problem is only going to get worse unless action is taken now. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Ross Forsyth, who runs the Healthy, Powerful Communities project. Thanks for joining us on STV Glasgow, Ross. First of all, tell us what your project actually does.
So I work for a social enterprise called My Time Active. We were given big lottery funding at the end of last year, basically to try and engage with communities again, find out what barriers they're facing to having a good diet, and try and help them, empower them and basically overcome those barriers.
So who is it that actually comes to you then?
So there's a good mix of people. We get a lot of referrals from whether it's other health professionals, we get referrals from local authorities or other charitable organisations, and then we get a group of people that are just really self-referred that have come across us either online or through media, things like this. I think the range of people that we see, a lot of them are just really there to get a bit of a guide and a bit of a stepping stone towards better health. I think a lot of the people, often they've got quite good knowledge about their diet, but they sometimes just need a bit of a support and a bit of a recce around what tools to use to get healthier. So we try and provide that support.
Now in Scotland, I think the figure is, so 40% of people by 2030 are expected to be obese in Scotland. What can we do to stop this?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. It's a massive issue. I think the issue isn't going to be resolved overnight. It's something that I think a lot of organisations need to take responsibility for. It's not going to come from one organisation. I think the Healthy Powerful Communities is a really good example of how those organisations work together. In Glasgow, we work with the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. We work with local authorities and we work with other organisations. I think you need all those heads around the table to try and make an impact on this issue.
Well, we'll be hearing more about exactly what it is you do, Ross, in just a minute. But first of all, one of the main areas of focus is when tackling childhood weight problems is, of course, getting the right nutrition from our food. But how much do kids really know about where the foods on their plates come from? Our reporter Matty Sutton's been speaking to school kids from Summerston who've taken a special trip to find out just that.
Tucking into their favourite foods, these children know what they like to eat, but most of them don't have a clue how vegetables are grown or prepared.
Do you know where your chips come from?
Potatoes.
And where do potatoes come from?
A farm. Under the ground. I don't know.
And how are they grown, do you know? What's your favourite thing to eat?
Haggis, neeps and tatties.
And do you know where your neeps and tatties come from?
No. The only actual veg I eat is like potatoes when they're mashed. That's the only thing I actually eat.
Do you do any cooking?
That's very typical in a city school. We live in the city, and lots of these families have lived in the city all their lives, a bit like myself, and you know about healthy eating. We teach the children about healthy eating, but often they've not thought the whole process through about where it comes from initially. So it's a really good project for us to kickstart that thinking with the children.
Out in the garden at Dumfries House, it was time to learn about the great outdoors and finally pin down where those pesky potatoes come from.
Those are big.
Right, okay.
Under expert guidance, they got to pick, wash, peel and chop onions, potatoes and kale. The Parkview pupils are the first of a dozen schools to take part in the project over the next 6 weeks. Next year, a further 30 Glasgow primary schools will visit Dumfries House.
It's a chance for children basically to see that food doesn't always come vacuum packed and sealed in plastic. It gives them the opportunity to come out and experience food growing in a garden and how they can then tend it, harvest it and prepare it and actually turn it into a food source that they're used to seeing at the moment coming from tins and coming from packets.
We have been keen to work with education to link where food comes from to the healthy food that's provided in schools in Glasgow. This gives that opportunity to come out and look at how food is planted, to picking it, to cooking it, so they understand how easy it is and how much fun it can be to make your own food and to make healthy food.
After hard work in the garden, it was time to get into the kitchen and prepare the vegetables. Then, finally, to taste the fruits of their labour.
What's your favourite vegetable now?
Kale. It's nice.
What was your favourite vegetable that you made today?
Potatoes.
And you like potatoes when I spoke to you back at the school. Do you know where they come from now? Matty Sutton, STV News.
So lots of fun being had there, Ross, but quite a serious issue. Lots of these kids don't know where their food comes from. Is that a key point, do you think?
Absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of the programmes that we deliver in Glasgow are called MEND. So that breaks down into mind, exercise, nutrition and do it. So that's the four elements that we try to kind of deconstruct. So in terms of the nutrition stuff, we will go into the very basics of what's your food made of, what's refined versus unrefined, how do you read food labels and all that kind of thing. And then really once they've got that really basic information pinned down, then we move on to the mind and trying to establish healthy behaviours. We go into exercise and how to develop routines for exercise. And then the do it bit's really about trying to maintain motivation and really some of the psychology behind trying to do that. So.
And you mentioned exercise there. Food obviously important, but exercise massively important as well.
Absolutely. I think again within all our programmes, it's really a combination of both exercise and nutrition. A lot of we try and make a whole family approach. So a lot of the parents will come along and they'll be learning for the first time as well. Sometimes the kids go home teaching the parents, which is great as well. So yeah, I would say that exercise as well as nutrition is really the way forward.
And what kind of age group are you actually aiming this at then?
So across Glasgow we're delivering around 40 projects or 40 programmes over the next 2 years. The interesting thing in Glasgow is that there's a real focus on the early years. So within the 2 to 4 programme, which is generally the programmes that are delivered in Glasgow, we're really trying to get the kids before the behaviours are well established. That's when you get the best opportunity to make a change to their behaviours. And it's just as parents are becoming more established as parents and trying to boost their confidence around playing games with the kids.
So 2 to 4, that's ages 2 to 4.
Yeah, ages 2 to 4.
So that seems pretty young, but you need to get them at that age.
Absolutely. I think the evidence increasingly says that the earlier you can get in touch with children and parents, in fact, as well, the more chance that you've got a better chance of establishing a routine and improving health behaviour.
Is it easy to convince the parents?
You always get some reluctant parents. I think with every programme that we've been through, there'll always be one parent that's reluctant. What I will say is generally the programmes, they're so much fun, they're really energetic, so generally within the first couple of weeks, those really reluctant parents, you can see the penny drop, you can see them getting more engaged and you can see them having a really good time. So I would advise anyone to come along to one of our programmes. I'm sure they'll really enjoy it, no matter how reluctant you are in the first place.
Now, you've only been running since the beginning of the year, but how successful has it been so far?
It's been amazing. Some of the outcomes that we've seen have really went way beyond just the weight management issue. We've seen children just come out their shells. They've been really developing as people. You can see it happening, particularly in our 7 to 13 programme, which we run at York Hill Hospital. Some of the kids there have just been absolutely amazing. They've went from week 1 being really shy, timid children to week 10. You can just see they're full of life. There's some that have even indicated that they now want to train to become MEND leaders, which is great. It brings employability skills to the kids that have been through the programme, and also just gives them a wider kind of range of things to add to their CV and things, so it's great.
And Glasgow, whether we like it or not, does have this impression that people are unhealthy here and have an unhealthy diet. But do you think by starting programmes like this with children, then the future of Glasgow might be different?
Absolutely, and I think the Commonwealth Games has really brought us anyway a real change in spirit. I think people approach their health in a much more positive way. I think the families that we see engaging with us they've embraced it and they've seen that positive change can happen, and I think that's absolutely the message that we would want to give away. No matter what stage you're at in your behaviour change cycle, get in touch and we'll hopefully be able to put you along the right lines.
Ross, thank you very much for joining us on STV Glasgow.